Hey guys, back again looking at another Mustang kit in 32nd scale. This time we're looking at Hasegawa's version. Now this is an older boxing of the Mustang in 32nd scale from Hasegawa, so I cannot say how it compares to more recent boxings, if they've changed anything. So let's take a look at her. So, first up, we've got our main sprue containing majority of our parts. I'm just going to adjust the zoom a little. It will let me. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's going to let me. Sorry about that. Anyway, first up, main thing I noticed is why it does have recessed lines. Most of the detailing on the surface of the fuselage is raised, so all the little rivets are raised detail. They do a nice job of reproducing the canvas tail. My biggest complaint that I noticed right away is these exhausts. Hopefully it'll focus. They're woefully undersized and poorly molded. I'd say definitely look to get a resin replacement. And that's not even commenting on if the fact they're closed and not open. So yeah, that's definitely a weak area on this kit. The pilot figure, especially in comparison to the one that came with the Revell kit, is much sharper in detailing and molding. My only complaint there is that they didn't mold them in a more dynamic, pose you would expect to see the pilot in. Beyond that, we also got 2 pairs of bombs as options for underwing ordnance. Continuing on, we've got 2 sets of different fuel tanks. Either these more oval or the smaller. So it's nice to have that option included. We got our main cockpit tub as well as the back wall. Now, one impressive thing about this kit is it does include the gun bays that are open so that you can have it essentially posed showing those off, which is a nice inclusion. Though it does mean you are going to have to close up the wings with these panels, which again do have raised details, and especially these latches are extremely, for the scale, fairly raised. Hopefully that will show up well enough on camera. So that is something to be aware of. You also get this nice little display tag, which is a nice inclusion. One of those things that they don't have to include, but always nice to get when they do. Beyond that, we got a couple other detail parts for the cockpit, as well as building up the prop hub and governor assembly, landing gear doors, and our 2-piece horizontal stabilizers. Now, it would have been nice if they had done these as single pieces so we didn't have to deal with cleaning them up. Moving on, we've got the bulk of our detail parts for the entirety of the aircraft, including a full engine, which, again, in comparison to the Revell version, is substantially more detailed just out of the box. So that is a nice inclusion. We also have got our various controls for the cockpit, our main control panel, which out of the gate is acceptable. Could be better, could be worse. Fortunately, I've got to take that phone call. Sorry about that. As I was saying, the control panel is acceptable. We've got our sway braces, our nicely detailed diamond tread tires, our propeller blades, and the full 6 machine guns. Now, one complaint is that they did do this as with the barrels attached to the base of the guns, so that does mean you're going to have to install them first, as they will slide through the openings on the wings, which we'll see in a second. Would be nice had they done the barrels separate, so then we can do it without having to install them. Almost done looking at the parts. Now we've got our upper wing halves, as well as our two left and right halves. Much, again, similar detailing as the fuselage parts. Biggest complaint is the fact that they didn't have separate flaps. They do have separate ailerons, but not the flaps. It would have been nice had they included the option to position the flaps. Main gear bay, landing gear bay is acceptably detailed out of the gate, so it's an area you won't have to do much to. Last but not least, we've got our clear parts. They're nicely done. However, I noticed on the bubble on my canopy has almost like a flat area. I've never seen that on any shots of actual Mustang. I could be wrong, or it could just be how it ended up getting molded as a defect. I'm not sure. But it is what it is. On that, nothing else to say. Right, let's look at the decal sheet. Now you get even marking options for several different aircraft, and all of these are sharp and nicely registered. Whites could be a little brighter in some of these, but everything else is spot on. So moving on to the instructions. Much like the Revell kit, you do start with the engine and build through into the cockpit. No real surprises there. Building up through the wings and various other components for bundling it all up together. You know, it would have been nice had you not had to add the machine guns to the wing parts, but it is what it is. And then, yeah, everything sort of falls together. No real surprises with this kit. It's very nicely done. Now, as I said, we got several different options, 3 aircraft in particular. Only one I would say you might have some trouble with is this first one, with the amount of masking you need to do. But other than that, it's a pretty basic kit. It's a little more complicated than the Revell offering, but it's not one I would say is going to cause you a lot of hair tearing out. So overall, I would say it's still a fairly beginner-friendly kit, but it is a little bit of a step up. So if you're looking for a kit that's maybe leaning towards a more advanced kit, I would say definitely consider this one. Or if you're looking for a Mustang kit, period, it's definitely one to consider. Now, it is a little bit more expensive than the Revell offering, as if I recall correctly, I picked this up for about $25, as opposed to about the $12 of the Revell one. But overall, the engineering on this kit is much better. So it's a hard say. If you can find this one, unfortunately, because it is a lot harder to find, I would say get this one over the Revell. However, given the Revell is going to probably be a lot easier to find, you may be stuck with the Revell. So that was a look at Hasegawa's 1/32nd scale P-51D. A good kit, definitely one to consider. So until next time.